Hello everyone, this week is week 9. So this week topic is IT professionals and ethics. So compare with the content from those pre-weeks. So this week's topic is more relaxing. So I will talk about the IT department in the companies and organizations and tell you something about the IT career path if you want to stay in this area for the future. And also, I will mention something about the professional like ethics problems and also the information privacy in the companies. So that is the outline of today's lecture. So as I mentioned, the first part is the IT professionals. We will start with the IT like department information in like in an organization, and also followed by the some suggestions in the IT careers. The second part is ethics and the privacy. So we'll talk about this ethics and society problem, and then finally we'll mention something about the information privacy. So about readings, so you can read this module 12 and 5 from your textbook, and also you can read some other relevant materials from other resources. So first, let's talk about this IT in the organizations. So what is the definition of an organization? It is a stable, formal social structure, takes resources from the environment and process them to produce outcomes. So that's a very a formal definition of an organization. So maybe to you, organization is a big group of people. So usually, organization compared to companies. So organization is in a higher level. It's main not only with one company. Maybe it's group of companies or even group of enterprises. So an organization can be like industrial organization or academia organization. So that's the major difference. And many people want to work in these big organizations because you may think uh, working there is more professional. You can have a better career path, or you can learn more. So, but before you enter these organizations, you have to understand them. So first, you have to understand the pressures of this organization they are facing every day. So there are many different kinds of pressures these organizations are facing. So we can divide it into different types. So first is the market pressure for those companies, especially for those big international organizations. They have to deal with this market pressure. For example, the strong competition globally. So for the IT companies, because their services and products, they are just very similar, like either to provide some apps, software, or like uh, web services, or some like data services or networking services. And these services actually, many of them are very similar. So since you are these different organizations, companies providing different, very similar services or products, so how can we compete with each other? And the low price competition is not healthy. So the main purpose to provide high quality, like user friendly experience, and this will give the company a very big pressure because it means that one tiny error will ruin the company's reputation, will cause a big loss. So that's why uh, big companies, especially for international organizations, they have to deal with this strong competition pressure. And also our customers were trained by our like media or trained by our social networks. So even for like non-technical customers, we from those news or from your friends, you have already know something about IT. So because so as a result, those customers become more and more sophisticated. So you cannot like fool around them. because it's not now it's nothing different. It's nothing the same from like 20 or 30 years ago, where the IT is still a very new area. But now many people have smartphone, so many people start to do online shopping. So how to provide high quality service to their customers is a big challenge. So that is all from this market pressure. Second is the human resource pressure. So if you ask a question, what is the most important and valuable resource to an organization or to an enterprise? So you may have different answers, but you have to remember the most important and valuable resource to the company is the human resource. So a high quality human resource can bring the high profit to the enterprise, to achieve a high quality of service, to produce like the excellent products, and to make this company or enterprise unbeatable in the market. And the low quality human resource is just a nightmare to the company. However, this high quality human resource is very kind of scarce resource. So according to the latest reports to the United States, like in this year or the next year, they require about like 100 million like a high quality human resource in the United States. But currently, for the whole market, they can only provide like 50 million of the good human resource. It means that there's a big lack of human resource for those companies and enterprises. So as we know that United States is a very well globalized country, they have many overseas talents like from other countries, so they still have a high pressure on this human resource. Then not mentioning other countries who don't have this talents from overseas from other countries. So that's why this human resource pressure is a big issue for an organization. So same for the Australia as well. So especially in this IT area, because I have so many friends. They're running their own companies in the IT area. Some for the database, some for the like apps, some for the the website, and this is they have similar problems that it's so hard to find a well qualified staff. So that's the issue all the time. And next pressure is called the technology pressure. So in IT area, so this pressure is also very, I would say, severe because as we know that technological innovation in IT area is from time to time. We may have the new buzzwords, new technologies, so almost every month. So in order to update, like make the companies, the organizations, the technology up to date, and so for those companies, they need to like frequently update their knowledge, update their systems, so keep their product state of the art. So that's a kind of a pressure for those companies. And then there's another pressure called the information overloads. So thanks to the internet and our social networks, multimedia, and like smartphones, so we may like experience a huge amount of information every day. So if you like, you can spend the whole day with smartphone to read the news, and without like, and these news are not like repeating. So it means that we have too much information and like all the time. So, but many of them is useless for us. So it's very important for an organization, for the company, to filter out this useless information and I would say extract the most important and the valuable information for the company. That's also a big challenge. And the last pressure is called the societal pressure. So for the companies, especially for the big companies with good reputation, they must have this social responsibility because people think those companies have learned lot of money from the society. They must or they should give feedback to the society to help the people who need helps. and to would say improve the reputation of the company. And another thing for the company is that all companies have to follow the government regulations, because by validating the validations, it will cause a legal issue, will also cause the financial loss to the companies as well. And last is the ethical issues, not only for the small companies, for the big companies. So ethical issues is always a challenge, especially for the big companies who have many staffs, like international staffs mixed with the different cultures. So ethical issues is also another pressure to all the companies and enterprises. So the next is the IT in organizations. So for the concept information system, I remember we have talked about this in our first or the second lecture. So it means the hardware, the software, the data, people, procedures that work together to produce information. And for the computer-based information system, short for CBSI, it means to use computer technologies to perform some or all of its intended tasks, such as computations, communications, data storage, access information, automatic business process. So nowadays, I would say almost like 100% of the companies, like even for the small companies, media or the big companies, they all have or they are using this computer-based information system. So it means that all the companies, almost all the companies, have the IT elements in their structure. So maybe for the small companies, they have no money budget to raise like specific IT staff to maintain their system. They may use they may have to outsource their IT service to some other IT consultant companies. And for the big companies, they do have a specific IT department. It means that IT is one of the most important thing for the modern organizations. So that's the reason you are taking this subject, or the reason you are joining this program and want to be an IT expert or IT consultant or experienced like programmers or developers in the area. And then what are the properties for the organization's information? Here I've listed several keywords. I would say all of them are very important to the organization's information. So they are like accurate, they should be verifiable, should be timely, organized, accessible, useful, and cost effective. I would say all of these are important, no doubt, because accuracy, of course, always the most important thing. So the inaccurate information will give the very wrong guidance to the companies or to the customers, which will cause the very negative effect. And the verifiable information is also important, because just to get rid of those fake news, fake information, untrusted information. And that's timely. So outdated information is useless to the companies, to the organizations, and organized is also very important, because it will make people to easily understand this information. Then is the information accessible. Here I have two meanings. One meaning is that for the important information, it should be accessible to all the relevant people. And second meaning is that like there's a lot of information provided or to the company, but for different people, people may have different access to this information. For example, if you are a high top manager in this company, then you may have more access to those sensitive information. But if you are just very normal stuff, then you may have a limited access to the sensitive information. So this information, I would say, hierarchical structure is very important for the organization. And next is useful, of course, and everybody wants useful information. And last is the cost-effective property. Of course, information is kind of like a product. It got price. So in order to obtain the information with low costs is very important for the organizations as well.
So as to provide IT services, firstly, we need to have our IT infrastructure. So first, the infrastructure is the hardware, which includes processor, monitor, keyboard, mouse, printer, scanner, router, switches. So any kinds of hardware which are related to the IT, we can consider as IT infrastructure. And second is the software. So those software which enable the hardware to process data. So it's also part of the IT infrastructure. So here can have both the system software and the application software. So which we have learned in our previous lectures. And third is the databases. So databases is a collection of related files, tables, relations, and so on. So which you can use to store data. So for the database, we'll learn in the next week. Remember, so database is another very essential, fundamental part of the IT infrastructure. Then is the communications network elements, so which can connect systems that permits the sharing of the resources between computers. So as we learned before, a networking technology or networking element is a very fundamental, essential part of our IT technology. So which allows us to exchange information. So this including like traditional telecom network or the broadband network, or even at home the Wi-Fi as a short-range wireless network. So all this can be considered as IT infrastructure. Thanks to people. So people are those individuals who work with the system and or use its output. So not only the software, hardware, databases can be considered as infrastructure, and the people is also another important part of the infrastructure. And then it's the data. So data, I would say, is the center of our IT. So what we're doing by using our IT technology is to deal with data. So there's no doubt. And finally, is the procedures are the set of the instructions about how to combine the above components. So even the procedures like the regulations or the rules, so can be also as a part of our IT infrastructure. And then is the functional units of an organization. So a typical enterprise consists of a wide and variety of departments, centers, and divisions. So collective known as functional units. Here I just list 6 typical departments in the enterprise. So depending on the different enterprises and companies, so the department types may be a little different, but I would say many enterprises has these 6 departments. First is the human resource. As we mentioned previously, the human resource pressure is one of the most, I would say, severe and obvious pressure to almost all enterprises. So that's why human resource department is very important in the enterprise. So human resource is department not only responsible for hiring new staff, but also in charge of managing the existing staff, like also the payments, also the some other benefits of the staff are all handled by the human resources department. Second is the engineering or the product development department. Depending on the different enterprises or the companies. So if this company is a high tech, like the software or the manufacturing enterprise, so they must have this department. So the main job or the main task of this department is to build a prototype, to do some research, and to design the product, and also not including the software but also hardware. Yeah, so all this will be done in this department. And later is the manufacturing. So after the product has been designed and tested, so then this prototype should handle to the next department, which is manufacturing. So some companies don't have this department because manufacturing is a huge investment. So some like a medium-sized, small-size company, they will outsource their manufacturing to some other companies. So this manufacturing department will depend on the size of the enterprise. Then it's marketing and sales department. So these two departments usually work very close to each other. So for the marketing departments, their main task is to not only to advertise their product, their services, but also sometimes need to advertise the company itself, because to maintain a good public relationship, we call PR, is very important to the company to make the company look good, has a very good reputation. So that's a very important task for the marketing department. So for the sales department, their task is very, I would say, obvious, is to try all the ways to, or all them like strategies to sell their products, their services. So actually, the pressure on this department is very high because each staff may have the KPI targets like per season. So you are supposed to sell this amount of product within this season. So it will be high pressure on these departments. And sometimes um, sales department will work with the marketing department to have some discount activities. So try to attract more customers. And last is the customer service. So this department is also very important because after you're selling your product, your services, so you should always provide warranties to the customers as well, right? So if anything happened to your product, to your services, so you can get a feedback, you can further improve your product, and also it's very good way to maintain a good relationship with the end customers. So that's the main 6 typical departments in the company. But in reality, they may have some other departments, such as security department. Some companies, some big companies do have that, and some may have called the strategy department, especially for those big international enterprise. So they need to plan for the future. So how to make it like the high level strategy. So it will be the main task for the strategy department. So at least these 6 departments will be seen in the most enterprises nowadays. Now we know that there exist many different departments in one enterprise. So how can we make these different departments work closely together, work efficiently together? So all this should by using good information systems. And here I just listed several typical used information systems in enterprise. So I will go through it one by one. First is the enterprise resource planning, short for ERP. So when you go to work in the future, you may see this ERP all the time. So this ERP is to integrate manufacturing resource planning with the information flows across the organization to manage and coordinate the ongoing activities of the enterprise. So usually ERP tools is the largest suite of the integrated applications and that manage everyday business processes and automate the back office functions. So it is designed to centralize and optimize the operations with this connectivity. So while reducing the manual labor work. So for example, in the supply chain industry, so an ERP system can automatically run a financial analyst and predict future stock needs to keep the inventory at a healthy level. And this process control ensures that the manufacturing department is performing at an optimal capacity and in-demand products are in stock. And for the financial department, the ERP tools can facilitate the payrolls, the budget, the billing, and banking operations. So it can conduct cost analytics to better manage the cash flow and forecast the future growth. And for the human resource department, the ERP tools can not only help with the hiring and training new staffs, but also tracking their individual productivities. So for the ERP systems is one of the most important systems in an enterprise. Then is the document management system, short for DMS. So this system allows for storage management of company documents and can support access control, security, version tracking, and document search. So this system is also a fundamental system in almost all the enterprises, because all the enterprises should have a reliable way to maintain and to store their documents, their data, their files. So DMS is the second important system. So then is the content management system, short for CMS. So CMS enables and manages the publishing, modification, organization, and the access of various forms of documents and other files. Maybe to use this CMS is very similar to the previous DMS, but they are different. So the main purpose of the previous DMS are the workflow management and regulatory compliance. So the previous DMS system manages the structured data and has the focus on the traditional documents in the form such as the Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, Excel. However, for the CMS, so it has the ability to manage both structured and unstructured data, so such as the digital assets and the web contents. So all this belongs to the CMS. So as nowadays, so many companies have to maintain the big data. So since the big data is the unstructured data, so this big data will be handled by this CMS, not the DMS. Then is the transaction processing system, short for TPS. So this system is an information system that captures and processes the data from day-to-day business activities. So TPS is usually used in the banking system or financial companies. And then is the management IS, so management information system, short for MIS. So it generates the accurate, timely, and organized information so that the managers and other users can make decisions, solve problems, and supervise activities and track progress. Then the last is the decision support system, short for DSS. So DSS helps users analyze information and make decisions. So as per the text here, so the DSS is kind of similar to the previous MS because they both help with the decision making. But there's one major difference between these two systems, is that the previous MS it only supports structured decision making. So while this DSS can provide both support for the unstructured and the structured decision making. So that's the major difference. Now you know some basic knowledge about IT in the big organizations, and also some popular systems are now using in the enterprises. Then let's look at this IT careers. So I will give you some the information and the guidance about the careers path in the IT area. So if you want to stay your career in IT, so I hope it can help you. So IT jobs usually can be divided into the following areas: management, research and software development, technical support services, operations, training and support, information security services, marketing and strategy. So different areas may have different requirements. So some areas do require strong technical background or skills. For example, the research and the software development. So if you want to be a programmer or designer, system designer, engineer, or even later the technical expert, you can choose this area. So this area do require very strong coding skills, good way of thinking, like the logical thinking, and also need to good at math sometimes. So this is very good area, and also the income of this area is also very stable, and for the job security also very stable, because if any financial crisis comes, if you work in this area, if you are an expert, I mean an expert, not a junior level, you are the last person the company want to get rid of. Some other areas also require technical background or technical skills, such as the technical support services, and operations, and training and support. But these areas, they all have different focuses. So, for example, the technical support and services, since you are dealing with the IT product or IT services, so what you do need some IT background. At least you should understand your product. So when you get feedbacks from your customer, you can answer the question correctly and provide high quality services. So for the operations, like most of the time, you are required to set up the system, the network, make the optimum configuration, and if something happens, you need to do the troubleshooting and make the system up and running as soon as possible. So in this area, you do require like a higher background or good technical skills, and sometimes you also require some the certificate, such as a Cisco networking service certificate, or some other like Amazon cloud computing certificate. And there's training and support. So in this area, you don't need to have a very strong background. You just need to understand what courses you are going to teach. And also you need to have some teaching skills. So it will help you in this area. Then is the information security services area. I would say this area is also a very good area, because the cybersecurity become more and more important nowadays, and many companies and enterprises, they put more and more focuses in this area. So it will be like the many openings or many vacancies in this area. So, but it does require the strong security knowledge and skills. So if we want to enter this area, so at least you need to have some security subject, and also it will be better to have some security information security certificates. And then is the management. So many people want to work in the management area because they thought the income in this area is much higher. Yes, that's true. The salary in the management is higher than other areas, I will have to admit. But this area is also very challenging, I would say, because not only you are required to have the technical background or some technical skills, because without the IT technical background, you cannot be a good project manager. And also you need to have a very good project management skills. For example, you need to understand your resource very well, or your customer requirement very well, or your product very well. So you have ability to optimize the usage of your resource. So this resource including like the time, the human resource, the infrastructure, and how to put the right person in the right resource best way. So that's very challenging. And also you need to set up the milestones based on based on the deadline and requirements. So from time to time, you need to check your calendar. So to check, have you meet the current milestones? If you fail to meet your milestone, you need to adjust your plan and to push things forward. So it's very, I would say, challenging and also very interesting job. So, but you always will be under the high pressure. So that's the main pros and cons in this area. So last is the marketing and the strategy. So I would say this area may require the least technical background, the skills, but it requires you have to deal with people all the time. So you need to set up like activities or do the advertisements to maintain the public relationship and also make the strategy for the companies in the future. So if you don't like those technical details and if you don't think you are the technical geek, then you can try this area. I would say that's also a very interesting area. Depends on your like goals and personality. So here I listed several job titles under different job areas. So due to the time limitation, I won't go through this one by one, but please go through these job titles by yourself. Maybe it will give you some clue about your career path in the future. So maybe you will find what's your favorites. Then you can make a plan as soon as possible. So under the system development jobs, we have the cloud architect, cognitive engineer, database designer, and other different kinds of programmer or designer. So you'll notice under this category, these jobs are all based on like a strong technical background. So you are required to have a strong programming skills, designing skills. So among this one, I would say the cloud architecture is the most challenging job, and also it's also I would say a very good future, a good direction for the future, because more and more companies will move their platform, their services to the cloud because it can save a lot of money. And so your job is to identify business requirements, strategies, solutions for the cloud storage services that meets company's goals and needs. So this is a very general description. If you want to understand more about this job, you can go to the SIG.com to search for this keyword. Then you will understand what's the job requirements about this job. Then you can prepare your job as soon as possible. So then it's the technology and operations jobs. So here we have the computer technician, the help desk specialist, network admin, or the technical project manager. So here you can see for the computer technician, it's more about the maintenance of the existing system. So it does require a very strong technology background. For the same for the help desk as well. So, but for the network admin, especially for the technical project manager, you are required to have a very strong technology background. You should understand the principles and the fundamental things about your IT and technology. And especially for the technical project manager, so you are required to guide the design, the development, and the maintenance tasks as a service as the interface between the programmers, developers, and the management. So you are not only to have this technical skills, you also need to have the management skills. So that's also a very challenging job. But the income about this technical project manager is also much higher than the rest. Then is the web marketing and the social media jobs. So here you will see the customer relationship management specialist, or the internet social media marketing specialist, or like the search engine optimization expert. So, and the user experience designer as well. So in this category, in this area, so some jobs does not require very strong technical skills. For example, the social media marketing specialist, but some does require high like technical background, such as the search engineer, search engine optimization expert. You need to understand the principles about the search engine, so define and write and develop the web contents and website layout so that they will appear at the beginning of each the search results when users search for the content. So you need to understand how does Google work in order to put your ranking as high as possible. So also for the same as the user experience as well. So how to design user-friendly interface, how to provide a very good user experience is very, very important. Then is the data storage, retrieval, and analysis jobs. So you'll notice every jobs on this category is about data. So depends on the job titles. It has different requirements about your understanding about the data. So the data scientist has the highest requirements of your skills. Sometimes, at least, if we want to be a data scientist, you need to have the master's degree in data science or some other relevant degree. And many big companies like Google, Apple, and Microsoft, if to be a data scientist, at least you need to have your PhD degree. So for data scientists, you need to use the module to build a module to use the big data techniques to interpret the company's data from a variety of sources to better understand its performance and make the recommendation for the improvement. Sometimes you are also required to use the AI or machine learning algorithm to do the prediction or to do some automation based on the requirements. But for the database admin or from other database analysis, the requirement is much lower, but also the income is much lower as well. So as far as I remember, so the data scientist in the United States, the salary in the Silicon Valley is about like 150,000 per year, around that. For if you are a fresh graduate. But if you want to be like database admin or database analysis, so the starting income will just from maybe 70,000 or 80,000 at the most to be a fresh graduate student. So that's a big difference between the different job titles. And this category is called information and systems security jobs. So as I mentioned previously, these kind of jobs become more and more important as the cybersecurity become more and more important. Here we can have different kind of jobs such as the computer security incident responder, or the computer security specialist, mobile security specialist, or the network security admin, or some other like security system project manager. So similar to the previous data science, for the system and the information security jobs, it also has different requirements depends on the job titles. So for example, for the security system and the project manager, you are not only to have a very strong, solid security background, you also need to have a very strong the management background, because you are supposed to develop and maintain project and tools designed to provide the security to a network. And then for the network security admin, so you are not only need to understand the security solutions to a network, but you also need to have a very strong networking background, because you are supposed to configure routers and firewalls, specify the web protocols and enterprise technologies. So you can please take a look of all these job titles, since they're all related to security, but they have very different requirements, depends on what's your duty. So last is the app development and mobile technologies. I have to say that this area is very, very popular these years due to the booming of the smartphones. So if you want to enter this area, I would say then you don't need to worry about your job security, because you will find there are so many positions, so many vacancies online. So if you want to change your job, it's very easy. So, and also the salary of this job is also quite high compared with others. But the main challenge in this job is that it requires very high programming skills, and also sometimes the job is tedious because you are doing this job every day. You may feel bored after a while. So that's the main thing you need to consider. Otherwise, I would say this is a very good area for the future if you like programming, I would say. Then let's look at the ethics and society. So for the ethics and society, we have a technology ethics, intellectual property, code of conduct, and green computing. So for the technology ethics, so how can we define the technology ethics? So a field of study that seeks to understand and resolve moral issues that surrounds the development and practical application of the technologies. Nowadays, there's a hot debate on these technologies, especially the IT technologies. Different people may have a totally different opinion on some technologies. Some say there's a very good one, some say there's a very bad one, depending on their standing point. So, for example, the dark web. So, web technology itself is not bad. So it makes our life much easier, makes our job much more efficient. But still, some people, like evil people, to build this dark web, to do the nasty things there. So you may have watched many books and movies about the dark web. The dark web does exist. So I remember many years ago, I got a chance to enter this dark web, and of course I'm not supposed to be there, but just to my curiosity. But it does to provide many illegal things there. And but the web technology itself is not bad. So it depends on how you use it. And also for the 3D printing as well. So 3D printing give us the chance to have the fast prototyping, but still some people use the 3D printing to print guns. So which is very like dangerous to the society. Then it's AI and artificial intelligence. So AI is different from these previous two technologies because some famous scientists, they also have a negative opinion on the AI. So how do you think AI is totally depends on your standing point. Some people think AI is perfect because it can improve our working efficiency. And like if for some tedious job, we can just totally give to AI, and then we can just take a rest, and AI can help us to do all things, and also AI can help us to save cost. Nowadays, there are many customers like the online customers support. They are based on AI. So if you can like chat online, it seems that you are chatting with somebody, but actually you are chatting with a robot. So for those companies, they can save the cost. But some scientists believe AI is very evil because they don't believe AI. They believe one day the AI will take over of the planet, so will ruin the human beings. But to me, I would say maybe in the future AI can do that, but until now, I would say that in the next 50 years, this won't happen because true AI is still far away from us. So nowadays, the AI is more about like a machine learning, deep learning. So it's still like based on the algorithm. But the true AI is totally different from what we have now. So I don't think it's a bigger issue right now. Maybe after like 50 years, if I have a big like breakthrough in the AI technology, then we can start to worry at that time. So at the moment, I don't think we need to worry about that. Then it's the information accuracy, because in many cases, information accuracy is a concern. Nowadays, almost all system is based on the information data. So those inaccurate data and information will totally mislead the people and cause a very serious outcome. So for example, the fake news. So those fake news can easily mislead the people and to cause like a harmful result to the society. and how to distinguish the fake news and true news, that's challenging. And so that's why in the nowadays, you want to provide the accurate information is very important. Then is the intellectual property, we call IP. So IP include unique and original works such as ideas, inventions, art, writings, processes, company and product names, and even logos. So in order to protect the copyright of your ideas and inventions, you're better to apply for the patent. So that's very important nowadays, because if you don't apply for the patent, such as the logo and your product name, if it will be very quickly stolen by your competitor and cause a huge loss to your company. One more thing you need to know about IP is that if you work for the company and then you invent new things or to create new things, new ideas, who own this IP? And this is case by case. If you use the company's resource to build and invent new things, I would say, and most probably the company will own the IP. But if you use your own time, your own resource to build new things, that is may belong to you, but it's how to say, depends on the contract you signed with the company. So every time you enter a new company, then you should very carefully to go through the details of the contract to see, okay, if you build new things, who will own the IP. So you should pay attention on that. That's very important. Then is the code of conduct. So it is a written guideline that helps determine whether a specification is ethical or unethical or allowed or not allowed. So every time you enter the new role or enter a new enterprise, you'll be given the code of conduct about your position. And here's the sample IT code of conduct. So for example, the technologies may not be used to harm other people, or the technologies may not be used to bear false witness. Employees may not copy or use the software illegally. So every time we'll be given this code of conduct, please take a close look about this, because sometimes you may miss one or two parts, which is not that obvious. Then you may validate the company's regulation and get yourself into trouble. So always pay attention to this code of conduct. So that is the green computing. So it involves reducing the electricity and the environmental waste while using the computers, mobile devices, and the related technologies. And you may see this logo in some computers, like especially the previous old computers. It means that with this logo, it means that this computer or devices comply with the Energy Star program. And also, you need to remember to not leave your computer or devices running overnight. I do see a lot of students or staff, they leave their computers open running all the time because they didn't finish their job like the day before, but they don't want to close everything and reopen everything again because it takes a lot of time. So instead, they just leave their computer running all the time. So of course, it's very convenient, but it's not environmental friendly. And also try to turn off your monitor, your printer, and other devices when not in use. Then try to reduce the environmental waste. First, we try to use the paperless methods to communicate. I think to the students itself, probably there's no problem for this because we prefer to send emails, send messages, so don't really send letters, right? But for the companies, many people prefer to print out the document and to send the document, but most of the time is unnecessary. And also for the for bills as well. So try to ask the companies to send the bills by email. So don't ask them to send the mails like to mailbox, just to use less papers. Then there's many other ways to reduce the waste, such as the recycled paper or and buy recycled paper, and also try to recycle all your devices, and try to telecommute or use the video conference and the VIP for the meetings. I think nowadays we are doing quite good due to the quarantine, but later I think if everything goes normal, hopefully we can still have the habit to do the video conferencing instead drive their meeting in person. Finally, let's look at information privacy. So information privacy is about the rights of individuals and the companies to deny and restrict the collection, use, and the dissemination of the information about them. So due to the advanced IT technology, so the issue about the data collection become more and more serious nowadays. Nowadays online, you might find many websites, they sell different kinds of data. Some data are normal data, some data are very private personal data. So of course, some are legal, some are illegal. Depends on how they collect the data. Because some websites, they often collect the data about the user so that they can customize their advertisements and send them the personalized email messages. There is the online privacy. So information about you can be stored in a database when you like fill out a printed or online form, or create a profile on your online social network, or register a product warranty. So in these cases, you start to leak your personal information. And some companies may declare that they will put your personal information locally and won't give to anyone else. But still, sometimes attackers and adversaries may hack to their system to still get your personal information. So that's hard to say. And how can we protect our privacy nowadays? Is still very challenging. Then is the cookie. So as we introduced before, cookie is a small text file that the web servers store on your computer locally. So many people think cookies can leak our personal information, validate our privacy, but since I've learned that cookies are very secure, they have a secure way to protect the information in them. So I would say security is not the way that we can leak our information. So we shouldn't worry about that. So it's phishing. So phishing is another way to validate our online privacy. I remember we have mentioned this phishing security issue before. So here we just record again. So it's a scam in which an adversary sends official look messages to you and attempts to obtain your personal or financial information. So usually, you will get an email, ask you to update your bank details, but the link they give it to you is like the fake link. When you click a link, it will be look exactly the same as your like online banking, but only the web address, it looks a tiny different from the official website. But if you be careless, then you may miss this important part. Then you update your bank details, then the adversary will get all your personal and financial information. Then is the clickjacking. So for clickjacking, it's an object that can be tapped or clicked on the website contains the malicious program. So I would say these days, many websites use these clickjacking techniques to trick users. Sometimes they just trick users to click their advertisement, but some are just embedded with some malicious program. So when you click this on their link, sometimes they're just transparent, you cannot see, but when you click it, then you may start to download their malicious software, and then you'll be compromised. Then all your personal information will be stolen. So that's the very risky things. Then for the spyware and adware, so we have mentioned that before. So we'll just skip here, and if you don't remember, please refer to our previous slides. And finally, is the privacy at work. So in order to protect the privacy of the company, many enterprises have applied this content filtering of their business resources, and many companies they have applied this web filtering, so to restrict to access to some websites. And I think our university also applied this web filtering. You can try. So if you want to log into some like unknown high-risk website, our university will block out this website, and you have no access to this website. And finally, is the employee monitoring. Nowadays, many companies start to do that. It's the use of the computers, mobile devices, or cameras to observe, record, and review employees' use of their technology, including the communications such as email, messages, keyboard activities, and website visits. Maybe you think that the companies are validating your privacy, but I would say it is allowed for the company to do that, because when you in the office, it is not your private time, so you are just at work. So the companies it's allowed to monitor your all the behaviors, all the activities when you're in office. So please bear in mind. So that's all for today's lecture. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So thank you very much.